Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Saturday morning, y'all. It's 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time here on the East Coast. I am Tony Jackson, and you're listening to Praise 100.9, Charlotte's Inspiration Station. The show is The Real Money Coach, and I am your host. Listen, I am really excited. My son is in town, and his new wife, right? And that's amazing to me that I could even say that. My son and his wife. This makes me feel kind of old, y'all, to tell you the truth. But listen, I'm just glad that you're up and listening to us this morning. We have another phenomenal show for you. We have a guest that's going to be coming on. She was on our show about a year and a half ago. Her name is Monica Hayes. She's going to share some information. And as I mentioned last week, this is Life Insurance Awareness Month. And I know we have so many different months and days and weeks that, all these type of things, but Life Insurance Awareness Month has been around for quite a while, to be honest with you. And so I shared a little bit last week about how many GoFundMes are started for life insurance. And as I continue to do my research, found out that there is 106 million people who are underinsured or don't have insurance at all. And that is a huge number, 106 million in the United States alone. And so it is something that is a big need out there, but for a lot of reasons, we shy away from it. What are some of those reasons? One is, a lot of times we figured that it's too expensive. That's one myth. Another myth is that, if I get it, I'll jinx myself. I've had people actually tell me that. I had a guy tell me that one time. He says, I don't want any life insurance because I don't want to jinx myself. Well, the fact is you are going to die eventually. And so it's not a jinx. I've heard things like, I don't want to make other people rich when I die. I don't want to put a price on my head. We hear all these type of things. Some people have other financial priorities, and I get that too, because if you have a lot of debt and you want to become debt free, and you might be saving for a house, which is going to be a big topic that we're going to talk about on Tuesday, along with our guest today. We're going to talk about home ownership. So there's a lot of things that you can, let's say a lot of excuses, some of them legit, some of them are probably just excuses, but this is something basic that we need to take care of. It's a responsibility, and it's a responsibility that we need to take seriously, because when we transition, there's going to be somebody left behind. And if nothing else, to help cover our funeral costs. But think about things like, income replacement. If something happens, keeping the home and the family, kids' education. There's so many reasons why. And I love this because I was told one time, and it kind of stuck with me, that the reason why we buy life insurance is because we love somebody. That's it. And I even have a quote in my book, y'all, where I'll actually read the quote. It says, basically that it should be called love insurance, right? He says, I don't call it life insurance. I call it love insurance. We buy it because we want to leave a legacy for those we love. And so that's so important. And, I have another quote in here from a good friend of mine, Eugene Mitchell. His quote was, I know Black lives matter, but how much is a Black life worth? What is your worth? And that's our greatest asset, is our ability to earn income. And so we have to protect that. And so that's why, you hear me talking about it. That's why it's important. That's why I own it myself, right? I don't ask you to do something I don't have myself. So it's just an important part of life. And so we want to encourage you to make sure that you check into what you have. There's been so many instances where I'll do a life insurance review with someone, and they think that they have one thing, or they think that the policy's in force, and come to find out that it's lapsed, or that the beneficiaries isn't who they want to be, and all these type of things. So I want to do this. I want to encourage you to make sure you schedule a free life insurance review with me. It's absolutely free, doesn't cost you anything. You can do that. The easy thing is go to tonyjackson.biz, and you have all my contact information there, as well as a link to schedule an appointment with me. If you want to go directly to my calendar, it's just ipadappointment.com. So let's just have the conversation. I'd rather have a conversation with you than to have a conversation with your family later. So let's do that. Let's have these conversations. And let me say this: if not me, get with somebody. Maybe there's a life insurance rep in your family. Maybe there's someone that you know that you're close to. But talk to somebody. And if you don't have anybody to talk to, I'm your boy. Listen, we're gonna listen to some music here, and I'm gonna come back with this fabulous interview with our guest today, Miss Monica Hayes. She's the owners of Baby Steps to Home Ownership. So we're gonna be right back with that interview. You are listening to Praise 100.9, Charlotte's Inspiration Station. Welcome back to Praise 100.9, Charlotte's Inspiration Station. And as you know, you are listening to the Real Money Coach Show, and I am your host, Tony Jackson. And listen, as I mentioned in the first segment of the show today, I have a return guest. We just don't have that many return guests, but she did such a phenomenal job for us way back in June of 2021 that I had to have her back on this show and on our show Tuesday. So let me tell you, her name is Monica Hayes. She is a home buying educator extraordinaire for women, over 20 years of experience in financial services, mortgage industries, and all that good stuff. And she's on the line. How are you doing this morning, Monica?
I'm blessed, Tony, and thank you for having me on the show again. It's such a pleasure to be back.
Absolutely, absolutely. You're just such a wealth of information, not only, with the things that you're doing now, but even some of your past experience. I remember when you were on our show before, it was the first time I had really heard of NACA that you used to be with and that type of thing. And I know a lot of people who, I've recommended to that program and different things. But before we get into all of that, why don't you tell our listeners this morning who may not know you, who is Monica Hayes?
Okay. Well, I am the owner of Baby Steps to Home. And my mission is to teach women proper pathways to home ownership and strategies to prevent foreclosures. So my vision is actually to move 1 million women from homelessness to home ownership, because I had lost my very first home, and I lost it when I had a BS in finance. So what I'm learning, throughout the years of being in the banking and mortgage industry, that we as women, we're 70% more likely to foreclose within the first 1 to 3 years of home ownership than men, regardless of education. So I've just been on a mission to break that cycle amongst women.
It's so interesting because I often talk about it, and I talk about it even in my book, is, I went to college. I was an accounting major. I even went on an academic scholarship, but I didn't learn anything about personal finance. I learned about, balance sheets and income statements and all those type of things. But, in the real world and real personal financial, they didn't teach us that in college. And of course, we didn't learn it in high school. I think it's so interesting as you talk about that. And I remember it now, you mentioning that you had even lost your first home. And I know a lot of people have gone through foreclosure and some of these types of things. But the number 70% of women in the first 1 to 3 years, I think that's just that number seems so high to me.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah, and so how do you prevent that? What do you do? And as I mentioned earlier, you were on our show in June of 2021, and there's so much that has changed in the homeowner landscape since then. Why are you so passionate about it?
Well, like I said, first and foremost, I experienced a foreclosure, and there was a lot of shame around that. A lot of people around me didn't even know I had experienced a foreclosure, just because of the shame, the guilt. How could I have done this? I have a BS in finance. How did this happen to me? And as I kept asking those questions, God was revealing I had self-worth issues. I had a lack of knowledge. And I had to work through those things. And once I learned what I needed to work through, then I said, if this happened to me, and I had a BS in finance, how many other women out there are going through the same thing, experiencing the same sense of shame and guilt and disbelief and lack of education? So God was like, well, you do something about it, because I kept saying, well, who's going to do something about this? We aren't taught this in school. And God just kept knocking on my heart and saying, well, what about you? You have the information now. Go out and help those that need your assistance. That's how Baby Steps to Home came to life.
If you pray about it, if you talk about it, you got to be willing to be the answer, right?
So, that's right.
So that's what happened. Right. And, one of the things that's concerning to me is that when we see what is recent be, and we don't have time to unpack it this morning, where houses are going so much over the asking price. I think in the month of August was the first time, and I don't know how many months they said it was, but it was the first time that the average home sold for asking price or lower for the first time in months. And so do you think that's a issue that we're going to have to deal with? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, the housing market is definitely coming down now. It can't just keep going up and, over an unlimited period of time. So the housing market is starting to decrease, and the rates are going to start coming down. But I think if anyone is interested in purchasing the house, maybe wait until like January, February of next year to actually jump in at a decent rate, with the rates going down in the housing market. Prices will be going down very soon.
Yeah, with interest rates climbing up, it's going to have an effect on the houses. The prices are probably going to go down. Well, Monica, listen, I am so excited to unpack these issues on Tuesday with you. I'm going to also ask you about the Bank of America program, what you think about that, and some other things. So I just want to encourage all the listeners out there, make sure that you tune in Tuesday on Facebook, on YouTube, to hear more from our expert, Monica Hayes, and we're going to just unpack a lot of this stuff. So, Monica, just real quick, if someone wanted to get in touch with you that's listening today, how would they do that?
Okay, they can call me at 704-266-6076, leave their name, number, and the best time to get back with them, or they can email me at info@babystep2home.com.
There it is, folks. You have heard from Monica Hayes. She is a home buying expert, teacher, and coach. So listen, we're going to take a short break here, listen to a little bit more music, and I'm going to come back and share more with you as we're talking about September being Life Insurance Awareness Month. But make sure you tell anyone that you know that's interested in buying a home, getting into the market, to tune into the Real Money Coach Show to hear more from Monica Hayes on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Monica, thank you so much for taking some time out to talk to us this morning.
And thank you, Tony. I enjoyed being on.
All right, we'll see you on Tuesday.
Look forward to it. Bye-bye.
All right. Welcome back. Welcome back. Listen, make sure, again, that you tune in on Tuesday. Find out more information about this home buying landscape that we're in now. It's ever changing. it's ever changing. And so looking forward to unpacking that with Monica. Listen, one of the things I talked about in the beginning of the show was life insurance and kind of some of the stigmas. And so I got a special treat for you. I got a real special treat for you. I got the engineer of engineers, the man himself, Mr. Ron Holland, and he and I are going to just have a little conversation about this because, Ron, what's your feelings? I mean, growing up, as a black male and we have our families, what are some of the myths that you experienced or kind of thought about even yourself when it comes to life insurance?
Well, interestingly, when I was young, my mom, we used to live in Washington Village, and there's a white guy that used to come around every single month, and he would go from apartment to apartment, and we all called him the insurance man. So he was coming every month collecting. We didn't know what they were doing. We just saw him coming. I just wanted to add that element to it. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go that direction. But he would be coming in, and I would see my mom filling out the paperwork, and I would see money exchange, and he would go to the next apartment, and he would come out with his bag and all the paperwork, and he was the life insurance man. We called him the insurance man.
Well, man, it's so funny as you say that because when I remember when I told my dad that I was going to go into insurance, and I went to college, got a degree in accounting, and he said, "You gonna become an insurance man?" And it kind of frowned at me. You gonna become an insurance man? And so I really get it because we've had this kind of relationship with insurance, and those old debit agents that came by, collected the money, filled out the little card, and that's what we knew about insurance.
Yeah.
And actually, the history behind that is that we weren't even allowed to buy a regular insurance policy until like 1960. New York Life was the first company that hired a black agent that could sell a policy other than those little small policies.
Right.
And ironically, they wouldn't even let him come in the office to turn in the paperwork, right? But anyway, there's so many myths about it, especially I think black males.
Well, you mentioned something earlier, and that is our community is haunted by this idea that if we were to fill out a policy, that suddenly there's going to be some unknown accident, that we might get hit by a bus, and I carried that for a long time.
Well, and we hear that all the time, but, we have done that. And when I say we've done that, I'm talking about insurance agents, because what we've done is we sit down with you and we tell you about this policy, and then we say, you need to do this today because you might walk out and get hit by a bus.
Yeah.
Now, you don't live on a bus route.
Yeah.
Ain't no buses coming in your neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
But we've used that tactic to create urgency.
Right.
And so now we have to deal with it because the mindset is, hey, I'm not going to jinx myself.
Yeah, I guess the question is, how do we change the trajectory of these feelings? Because at the end of the day, I still have feelings about AARP. I get angry when that AARP card comes in the mail, or at least the application. Now, I'm well over 50 now, so that application has been coming for a while. So if I have some concerns about AARP, just imagine how people are feeling about life insurance.
Man, let me tell you a little something about AARP. Man, listen, I got this mail and the thing. I was like, man, it's these cards here, and I asked my wife. She said, "Yeah, I signed us up." I'm like, "What? You signed us up?" Wait.
Let me see. I got the card in my wallet. She did that to you, man.
She did that to me, man. She signed me up for AARP. I'm like, I just can't accept that.
Yeah.
But those type of stigmas, right, that we have. And it's the same thing with insurance. Like, if I get this, I'm going to die, or, I'm putting a price on my head, or these types of myths and things that we have that we just got to get over that. And I think the way we do it is by education. And I think that's what's so important about what we do here on Saturday morning with your help and engineering the show, the Real Money Coach show, is educating people.
Yeah.
That's what it's about on Tuesday, is educating people so that we can dispel these myths that we have.
Yeah.
And the reality is that there's a lot of things that life insurance can do for you other than just pay when you die.
Absolutely. But I will say, and you know this, 2 years ago, I was in a bad car accident. My car was totaled coming here to the radio station. And this was 5:30 in the morning. And it has has never been so visceral that my life could have been gone in an instant, and I'm talking about tractor trailers coming at me, the whole 9 yards. So it is a very real possibility that we're all the inevitable is going to happen, but you want to make sure that you are protecting your family in the event it happens.
Right. So it's all about protecting the ones that you love in the event that it does happen, so that we don't leave financial burden on them.
That's right.
And, even in the book, I tell a story of a client that, 6 weeks after having a policy, he did die. He did actually get hit by a car, 3 cars, in fact. But the reality is most of the time that doesn't happen.
Yeah,
right. That's
right.
very rare. I mean, I think I can go in my total 25-year career. There's been 3 instances out of thousands of policies that I've sold over the last 25 years where that person died, relatively quick. Most of the time, it's years and years down the road.
Yeah.
But it is, we have to plan. We say it like this: we plan for the worst, hope for the best. Right. And then we let God take care of the rest.
Yeah.
So that's what it's all about. It's about having the proper plan in place. And if you can get a policy today that has what we call living benefits, monies that you can use for retirement, things if you have to go to a nursing home or critical illness. I'm talking about things that don't kill you. That's what we want to do. We want to get the new type of policies in people's hands so that they can be protected.
Well, I thank you for allowing me to participate in your show, but I do want you, if you can, just to clarify, because I know there is confusion. When you look at the language of term life and whole life, people are confused by that, and I think that's one of the benefits that you offer in terms of examining people's policies.
Right, and being able to explain the difference between those.
Yeah.
And really it should be term insurance versus permanent insurance. Term insurance, I describe it like this: it's like renting an apartment, right? So you rent, when you move out, what you get? Nothing, right? So absolutely. So, and then permanent insurance, or what most people call whole life, when it's like buying a home. So if you keep that policy, you're going to build equity, and then you can do the same things with the equity in that policy as you can do with the equity in your home.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: the most important policy, this is the number one policy that you need to have, is the one that's enforced when the time comes.
Right.
That's it. I mean, I have never had a beneficiary ask me, well, was it a term policy or was it a whole life? They just want to know, was there a policy?
Yeah.
And so that's the most important thing. And then we can work out all the other stuff in between.
Absolutely. Well, again, thank you for allowing me to participate in your show.
Man, I appreciate you coming on and rapping with me, man. We have such a good time here in the studio.
I want to tell you, listeners, that AARP card, it is bright red, big letters, and it says AARP. There's no mistaking that card.
There's no mistaking it. It is what it is, right? It is what it is. So the reality is, I'm going to give me some discounts at some restaurants, right? I'm going to get a little bit off that bill because I'm carrying the big red card in my wallet that my wife signed us up for. Listen, Ron, it's a pleasure, man. You guys have been listening to the Real Money Coach show here on Praise 100.9. Make sure that you dial in on Tuesday on Facebook and YouTube, and come right back here on Saturday mornings at 7:30 a.m. I'm Tony Jackson, your Real Money Coach, with Ron Holland.
All right.
And we're out.
All right, got it.